here who is on the call, and everyone in Middleton. I'm going to call the meeting of the Middleton Community Development Authority for April 12th, 2023 to order. And the first item I be the roll call. We got 7 now, so.
Furlong,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Wakely,
Here.
Weber,
Here, and just because I'm driving, just going to let you know I'm going to stay off camera.
okay,
We will let you do that. I think that's probably the great way to go.
Thanks.
and Oaks is looking for the link right now, but will be joining in just a minute. Olson is absent.
Okay, so well, we got just about everyone. So, well, the first item is the approval of the minutes. Need a motion to approve. I can see Katie is willing to, she's interested in making a
Yep.
motion.
Yeah, I will move approval of the minutes.
Okay, I will go ahead and second it. So let's have a vigorous discussion about the minutes now. So. Any
first,
questions?
I just want to, I'll apologize for not being present. I think with changes on Zoom links or something, I thought it was canceled. And so I did not attend. I didn't know it was happening. So my apologies.
All right.
I wonder if I deleted did I delete the Outlook and then send a new one or something?
I think that's probably what happened, but it's not your fault. It's more, I just saw it canceled and I think I was probably busy and was like, great, I can do something else. But
Sorry about that,
apologies.
Kieran.
No issue.
Yes, Karen, I know, we know you did something else. So at good time. So, well, if there are no any other questions or comments other than the Karen's and Abby, so all those in favor of approval of the minutes say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Well, I think as far as I can tell, motion is approved unanimously. Now we on to a big thing here. Item number 1, request from Downtown Middleton Business Association sponsorship, Andrea Van Nest. You want to
Alright.
say anything before she begins, or how do you want to handle it?
I will pull up the document that Andrea had sent earlier, unless you wanted to share it directly, Andrea.
No, it's okay. Go ahead and do it. So.
Yeah, you can share the one that I
Okay.
sent.
So at our last meeting, I had put together just a draft budget for how the CDA might want to spend its $7,500 for direct sponsorship for events. And then I asked you to hold off because I had had a conversation with Andrea and I knew that the DMBA was working on this request. So the request came in, they are requesting $3,000. And if my computer would cooperate, I would pull up the document here. It's just spinning, but just give me a minute. And not sure why it's taking so long.
I guess otherwise it's pretty easy. There are just 5 items there. So everybody read it, right?
Yeah.
So we can have a discussion. So where is, you already have 7,500 assigned there. So where would the 3,000 come from, Abby?
Well, I think that you would probably have to look at shifting some of the other items.
Wasn't Mustard Day included in the request from the DMBA?
No,
I read it.
I
No.
think that Mustard Day, I had put them on the list as a placeholder because they had received a direct event sponsorship from CDA last year. I'm just going to close Adobe Acrobat really quick and see if I can pull it open if I close all the other files I have.
Okay, sure. Whatever makes you happy, Abby.
I did include Mustard Day as part of our overall event plan for the year for downtown Middleton, because that is an event going on in downtown Middleton. But the sponsorship request would not include money that would go towards Mustard Day. That would be, they would have their own separate request. Because they're leading, they lead that one, and we have a whole suite of events that we're leading.
Gotcha.
If that helps clarify.
Yeah, it does. So you want this money for the communications coordinator?
Not only for the communications coordinator. So if we step back, what our board has really been striving to work on is a strategy that gets us through kind of a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year thing view, because what we've been doing, so our vision is that we are working to establish downtown Middleton as a vibrant destination that's creating experiences and adding value, not only for the businesses, but for the residents, all the guests who comes, and the community at large. And really, this is a partnership for DMBA in partner with a variety of other entities, including CDA, Tourism, Stonehorse Green, Chamber, and individual businesses. So that's what our vision is, to try and pull all of this together to present one cohesive, vibrant destination to the community. And strategically, what the board has how we're kind of organizing ourselves is 3 focus areas around advocacy, where we do support businesses internally via communication and representation in things like the road work project, and other kinds of things that impact our ability to do business. A second focus area is marketing, which is anything communication related across all the digital channels in our print media. And then finally, events are a focus area for us. And we're kind of looking at events. There's kind of 4 types of events that go on in downtown Middleton. We lead some of them. That's our strolling series, for example, where we have 4 events actually on the calendar now for the year, which is exciting. We haven't been able to get our events on the calendar this early in the year in such an organized way before. We're partnering to bring events to the community, including Story Walk, playing a supporting role, hopefully an art walk, trying to work with Stonehorse Green to bring Make Music Middleton to the community, and Strolling Jazz. And then separately are the Stonehorse Green-led events and the business-led events, where we can help try and corral businesses together to participate and increase presence. But really, those are not really led by DMBA. It's kind of more of a support role. To do this, kind of the history is we are volunteer-based. We've come to you in the past for sponsorship to hire part-time communication coordinators during COVID in particular. But we are still largely volunteer-based. Our operating funds to date have always been generated from our wine walk ticket sales and these ad hoc sponsorship requests. After the last 3 years, where we finally were able to do 1 wine walk in 3 years, our bank balance is barely above what we're trying to hold in reserve. And we're just finding that this approach that we've been doing is just not sustainable. So at the same time, the businesses really still need help in generating increased foot traffic as we all continue to try and rebound from COVID and through the road construction project this summer. So what we've decided to do strategically is to pursue a strategic sponsorship model, where we're more mindful and planful about going out and asking for sponsorships instead of doing it on an ad hoc basis. We are asking the businesses for sponsorship contribution as well. So it's not only an ask of CDA, but we're asking businesses to help share in the cost. Before we even do one single thing, our operating costs for the organization are upwards of $8,000 a year. Before we even bring in 1 ticket sale or bring 1 person in for trick-or-treating or anything. So we're trying to cover operating costs. We're trying to generate foot traffic. We're trying to bring events to the community, et cetera. So why we're trying to do this, the sponsorship approach is to be able to do more from a budgeting and planning perspective. So the funds would be used in part for part-time communications coordinator, which is the role we had in the past. Based on the sponsorship levels and our own bank balance with ticket sales, we were able to support 25 hours a month. And what we've quickly learned is, and I know Stonehorse Green is learning this too, like 25 hours a week is barely enough to scratch the surface of what all goes into this, to do it in a really meaningful, impactful way. So that's one area that the funds would be used for, is to help us. And this is our vision to get to 25 hours a week. We realize, and again, obviously $3,000 from CDA doesn't fully fund that. This is kind of we're going to try and walk as we run towards this goal, and we'll kind of take on what we can once we see how much the businesses can contribute, CDA, and some of the other targets that we have to help support the sponsorship. So part-time communication coordinator, content creator is one thing that the funds will be used for. Abby, if you can scroll down a little bit. The other two are, oh, that was a little too far. No, back up, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. Event planning and management is also something that we need help doing. Right now, any event that we put on is being organized by our volunteer business owners. And we're missing so much opportunity to have the business owners try to take lead roles in planning these events, with all the planning, communication, coordination, reaching out, coordinating across 60 businesses. It's just, we need somebody who can be dedicated to that over and above kind of running our ongoing communications. And then also paid media. We have nothing in our budget to do even paid boosted social media posts. So we need some help with paid media as well. So those are the three main buckets that funds would be used for. And again, the sponsorship really helps us achieve these goals in a strategic, thoughtful way without having to come back on an ad hoc basis over and over again. In return, what CDA gets is this would be kind of a lead sponsor at the kind of a community sponsor level. You would get logo recognition on our website, any of our social media and printed materials. We do have plans now that we have this robust calendar of not only the DMBA-led events, but all of the events across those 4 different buckets: Stonehorse Green, business-led. We want to produce calendars and posters and postcards to distribute through the businesses, get out on social media, et cetera. CDA would have logo presence on that. And then we can also offer event promotional support in return to CDA for some of the other things that CDA is sponsoring through Stonehorse Green. So, and what I mean by that is the next 2 pages of the document were some follow-up things that I pulled together after the last CDA meeting that I attended, where there was discussion on how can we get the word out about all the Stonehorse Green events to make sure that everybody in the community knows. And I went through and compiled a complete list of all of the different channels available to us to promote all of these events: Stonehorse Green, DMBA, all of them in a very cohesive and coordinated way. And that's what this whole next 2 pages is just the list of all the channels that are out there. My view is there's not a lot of coordination that goes on across all of these different tools, and there's huge opportunity to really leverage the power of all of these various channels to create awareness for all of our events, to really help us in this vision of creating downtown Middleton as this vibrant destination. So that's my spiel.
Any questions for Andrea? Please raise your hands. Karen, you had some questions about when we funded the communication person in the past. So Karen and then Quinn.
Oh, sure. Yeah, actually, so my question was just to understand. So with this, so first of all, really appreciate, Andrea, the kind of joined up thinking and thinking in advance. I think that's good to see, and appreciate that rather than having the piecemeal things coming to us. So appreciate that and the approach you're taking. I do still wonder, is there duplicative effort here with whatever, the city might be doing, or the tourism, tourism Middleton and so on? So that's one concern that I want to address, is that we don't end up duplicating stuff that is already done, or, we've got 2 smaller efforts when combined, it could be a much larger effort. but just, I guess, a specific question, does this mean if we were to grant this request, there would not be a separate request then for any of the DMB led events? Do I understand that correctly?
That is our intent, yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right, so
Mhm.
that's good to hear,
Mhm.
clarifies from
Yeah.
that perspective as well.
Yeah.
Then with request, or with my concern around duplicating what Tourism Middleton might do or whatever else, do you have
Yeah.
any you can say on the possibility
Yeah,
of
my
getting
thinking
effort?
on that is, I think, if you think about content creation separate from content distribution, I think that's where there's opportunity to think of these in a way that that maybe helps delineate who's responsible for what. So Visit Middleton is not solely focused on downtown Middleton. We're solely focused on downtown Middleton. When we create content, when we create events, when we create messaging, when we try to get, you know, the parking map out, all that kind of thing, Visit Middleton can help play a role in terms of distributing that message, but we're not asking them to create that message.
Okay.
So we're trying to do the content creation. They're doing the content distribution. For something like a Stonehorse Green event, Matt is doing the content creation for the events in Stonehorse Green. We can help play a role in the content distribution. So through all of our social channels, through our Nextdoor page, through 65 storefronts, through, you know, all these different venues that we have available to us to help get that messaging out. So I think, you know, if you separate out the creation from the distribution, maybe that helps think about making sure that we're not just duplicating effort.
Okay, and then, so obviously this is going to, I think for the rest of the CDA members, this is going to impact our ability to support some of the other events that we'll inevitably hear from as well. Mustard Day, for example. So we have to bear that in mind with our decision process. One other thing, Andrea, that, you know, I'll say from my personal perspective, but also I think from a CDA perspective, given the summer fun that we sponsored during COVID, we shut down the street, right? So the street that runs around Stonehorse Green there, which I went and talked to people. We had that on Thursday nights, and then Village Green was doing stuff on Friday nights, and it wasn't. I talked to people, I talked to families. I got overwhelming feedback from attendees like, this is great, we should do that again. I would definitely like to see that be a feature of DMBA focused events. And I know there's been discussion at DMBA around this and, oh, are we losing business if the cars can't get there? I think it greatly increases the enjoyability for people when we have that, just that, you know, kind of one dog leg, I guess, the end of Hubbard Avenue shut down. So I'd like to see that included in the events. And you mean, you talk here about foot traffic downtown, right? Again, increased foot traffic. If we have that pedestrianized and folks are wandering back and forth by Journeyman down to Long Table and everything else, that's something I really would like to see. So I'm making that plea for events.
Yeah.
That
And we're supportive of that for the right events, like for the summer fun. It's awesome to do that. For the winter window stroll, I don't know that we need to close a street for the winter, you know, so for the right kind of event and when it fits with the overall objective of the event, we're supportive of that.
Good. All right.
Yeah, it definitely adds to the ambiance, that we agree with.
For sure. I mean, I think, you know, in terms of creating Middleton to be a destination, downtown Middleton to be a destination people come from, that's something that's really lacking in the Madison area. And Middleton has got an ideal setup for it now. We could bring people in here every weekend. You just want to come for a stroll, get an ice cream at Via Dolce, walk by, have a beer at Long Table, all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll yield to Quinn.
Okay, Quinn, you're up.
Thank you. Kieran kind of leaned into this a little bit, but I'm wondering if someone could provide a little context about the $7,500 and kind of what we could be cutting into and whatnot with that. I'm just curious.
Abby?
So I had a couple of ideas. Let me just pull that sheet up again here. So this is the document that I had put together for the last meeting. for 2023. And if, two ideas. The first one is if the CDA decides that you want to move forward and fund the full 3,000 for the DMBA, you could take 1,000 out of summer and fall fund and fully fund that through the Stonehorse Green account, because we have received substantial contributions from T-Wall, as well as the Middleton Community Endowment. So we would be able to fund those because they're strictly held at Stonehorse Green using that account. So you could zero out summer and fall fund and fund it through other sources. And you could also do the same for Light the Green. That would give you 1,500. Getting the other 1,500 is a little bit more tricky, but I think you could take 1,000 out of Strollin Middleton. I would recommend still leaving a minimum of 1,000 in case they want to have the event at locations other than Stonehorse Green, like we have done in the past, because those would not be eligible to be funded with the Stonehorse Green money. And then you could also consider taking 500 out of National Mustard Day and allocate 1,500 towards that. So that would get you the full 3,000 if you wanted to go that route. Or if you only wanted to fund half of the DMBA request at a level of 1,500 for this year, you could take the 1,000 out of summer fund and fall fund and 500 out of Light the Green with very little impact to National Mustard Day, and no impact to strolling. And then you could consider requesting or budgeting more in future years also. So I think those are a couple options.
What do you think, Quinn?
I appreciate that clarification and kind of the thoughts on that, Abby. Could you also provide just a little context about what the money for Mustard Day goes to for Mustard Day?
It used to be strictly for marketing purposes, but in the last few years, it's been more of an event sponsorship. And it is used for things like renting equipment, hiring the bands, some marketing and promotion. They do a lot of games. Let me see if I can actually just pull up the requests that we had received from them last year. Let's see. Well, we actually have the documentation of their expenses from 2022. So they had estimated a total cost. Here, I'll just share this. So they had estimated when they came to the CDA that the total cost to run the event would be $12,275. And the CDA authorized up to $2,000 for reimbursement. They provided receipts and paid invoices totaling $6,200. And that included radio advertising, entertainment, balloon twister, some more entertainment, face painter, porta potty, bouncy house, music licensing, and some printed marketing materials. And I think that Barry included in the letter that they had spent more than the 6,200, but they only submitted the invoices for the lower amount because it was just, I think those were the ones that were just a little bit easier for him to pull together. So he provided all that information.
So there was a time when we used to fund the Mustard Day at a lot higher amount. So it's, I remember that at 7,000-8,000. So other questions, Quinn?
That's all from me. Thanks, Abby.
Chris Weber. Chris, go ahead, please.
Okay, there we go. Off mute. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can
Cool.
hear you.
Great comments. I agree with everything that's been said so far. And this sounds like a really exciting position that I think is very much needed. Two questions. Number one, will the advertising reach what we're trying to accomplish? It just wasn't clear to me if this is just Middleton, or are we looking beyond Middleton? I mean, I hear all the time about things going on the square in downtown Madison. Is that sort of where we're also going with this position?
Andrea?
Does, potentially, yes. I mean, this isn't only funding a position. It can be used to fund paid media as well. And we would be looking,
Oh, okay.
depending on the event or depending on the purpose, maybe looking at Isthmus, et cetera. But even before paying for those things, even just, there are so many free things you can do. Get on the Isthmus calendar, get on Destination Madison calendar. All of these things that I've listed here in this 2 pages, these are things that don't even cost anything, that we're just not even doing, that can definitely broaden reach beyond just Middleton, focused in Middleton, but broaden beyond Middleton.
Excellent. And my second question was, are there metrics that are considered that we would focus on that would help us determine the success of where this money would go, that we could then use those metrics to fuel increases and more and sort of build it?
I mean, some of the metrics can be just, successful completion of the event calendar and what kind of attendance we were getting. So we could probably come up with metrics to help with that. Just off the cuff, it's event attendance for sure would be one, things like how many tickets of wine walk and how many kids come to trick or treating and how many people do our story walks or the holiday window strolls, et cetera. And then certainly we can put together the metrics, at least for our own downtown Middleton page, social media pages, how many hits, how many views, how much growth, how much organic reach, et cetera. But again, there would be other pages, social media channels, et cetera, that could also benefit if we're able to have somebody that can help harness all of this together, that would also show growth that we wouldn't have access to provide. So Stonehorse Green be showing growth in the Stonehorse Green social media following, et cetera. So we would have to work to coordinate to come up with some of those metrics.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. It sounds like it's definitely on your radar, and that would be something I would love to see in the future, a year from now.
Thank you, Chris. So any more questions or that's it?
That's it. Thank you.
Great. Well, any other questions from anyone? So otherwise, the way it looks like we got those options. One is that the easier one is to get that 500 plus 1,000. So that's 1,500 for this year. And then the second is maybe even going up to 2,500, taking 1,000 from the strolling. I'm here to listen to ideas. So Quinn, Chris, or well, I don't know who was first. Quinn, you go ahead and then Chris.
I just wanted to ask one more question. Andrea, I'm curious, how much money do you expect to get from sponsorships from other downtown Middleton businesses?
That is a great question. We have never had dues before. We're trying not to call it dues right now, even though it's technically what it is, just because this is our plan to get us through this year. And as we continue to grow and evolve, we might take a different approach for next year. We're asking for $250 from each business. And, we've got 60 businesses that we can be asking. So we're just starting to roll this out. If we get half the businesses, that's going to be $7,500. So this would be, and then we have other businesses that we're targeting who have bigger sponsorship budgets that we can ask for more than the $250. So this is very much kind of our first time trying this approach. So what we know we need to get to is to execute the event plan that we have in place before, at the 20 hours a month for a person, we need to come up with it gets the budget to $19,000. That's to have somebody for 20 hours a month which doesn't even begin to cover actually helping coordinate all these events for us. So again, this is where we're kind of walking while we're trying to run towards this vision. So I don't have an exact answer. We just introduced this idea this morning at our member meeting.
Yeah, this is really a
That we're gonna
great
have
start.
sponsorship to the businesses.
Thank you, Andrea. So, Quinn, are you done? Okay, so the next one is Karen.
So Andrea, is there any way we could use this to help get some laggards over the line? Maybe if there are laggards at the MBA, can we do some kind of a match? I mean, it's so 250 by 60 is 1,500, or sorry, 15,000.
Mhm.
You know, it's not like we can do a dollar for dollar match, but it's
Yeah.
an extra 10% if it's 1,500. It's an extra 20% if we do the 3,000.
Mhm.
Would that, I mean, I think that might be a way that, would that be helpful for you to kind of go rattle the cages with the ones who are slow to pull out the checkbook, maybe?
Possibly. We still have businesses that are rebounding from COVID, so we're very hesitant, even asking 250, which doesn't sound like a lot. It's a big ask for a lot of our businesses. It really is. So it's an interesting idea. It is. I'm not sure that I don't know that that's going to be our challenge with getting businesses to respond.
Right. They may just think that the kitty is bare and there's nothing there. All right.
Mhm.
No, just an
No,
idea.
we're headed in the right direction. So maybe next year, that could be kind of an approach as we continue to evolve, because you can imagine we'll come back again next year
Yeah.
with another ask. But so maybe that's how we can evolve this.
Right. I mean, yeah, because you've been in enough of these meetings that one of our concerns always from CDA is we don't want to be the only one carrying the can.
Yes.
We like to be a partner when we're sponsoring
Yes.
things.
Mhm.
And if there's a way that we can, our partnership dollars can help other, you know, kind of bring along others,
Yeah.
that would be ideal, right? And kind of help get
Mhm.
folks along. So,
Mhm.
all right, just an idea. And like you say, maybe it's something that we could look at for next year.
Mhm.
Thank you, Karen. Cario?
Sorry, I was late. I was trying to get on the March link repeatedly and not working, and then I realized it was March. So anyway, so Abby, I wonder, like, one of the things that we talk about is that the businesses are a fundamental part of the vibrancy of downtown, but they're not the sum total of CDA's, mandated mission and what we're supposed to be doing. And I wonder if you could help us just kind of put this in perspective of the rest of our spending for the year, so we get a sense of what slice of the pie we're talking about in terms of what other initiatives and missions we support. Are you muted still, maybe?
Sorry about that. So you're talking about more broadly, the funding that the CDA has
Yeah.
allocated to different things, not just the 7,500 for the events.
Yeah, like non-commercial things that we spend money on.
Okay, yes. Let me just pull it up. So let me show you this. So probably the largest expenditure that we have now is oops, sorry, I'm gonna have to move this.
Snow removal is, well, actually LTE, so
Yeah,
landscape
so
and
downtown maintenance, landscaping in general is probably the largest expense. That would include the line that we have for snow removal, which is 2,500. It would also include our downtown landscape and maintenance line, which goes to cover cleaning costs and cleaning costs for the restroom at the Stonehorse Green, mowing the Stonehorse Green, maintaining the landscape beds there at City Hall, at the publicly owned parking lots, snow removal of those parking lots, and snow removal and salting of the sidewalks in front of all of the downtown city-owned buildings. So landscaping, maintenance, snow removal, that's probably the biggest cost, and those are only for public spaces. They do not go to support the private spaces. Each of those have to handle their own snow removal and maintenance. And then we have the event coordinator position. So that's another larger expense. And then we have banners and holiday lights. That covers the cost of not to fabricate banners downtown, but when they take them down and put them up, as well as when they put the wreaths up on the light poles, and the holiday lighting at the Stone Horse Green this year, the enhanced holiday lighting that we did. So I guess overall, the event portion, aside from our part-time position, the event sponsorship portion is relatively small.
So mostly what we spend money on is sort of landscape infrastructure maintenance and beautification of the downtown.
Yes, yeah, and that also includes purchasing the planter
Mhm.
plants each year. So that's a lot of it.
Sure. Okay. So this is a pretty small slice of our overall spend.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, I need somebody to make some sort of motion, so. Karen, you want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, Carrie, oh, she took her hand down. Abby, can you just, so the options would be, we take away the summer and fall fund and the light the green, and those could be funded from the Stone Horse Green one, right? So that's $1,500.
Yes.
To go for the other $1,500, we don't really have room given the budget, right? So it's a zero-sum game here. We got to take it from something else.
I mean, the only way, I think that you could amend the budget, but I believe that our finance director and for purposes of our auditors, if you are going to be proposing an amendment to the budget, then you would want to put that into a budget resolution, which has to go through the Common Council process. So otherwise, the option would be, in addition to the summer and fall fun and light the green, those I think are relatively easy changes because we have had substantial donations coming in to support events at the Stone Horse Green. So those are easy. I don't think it would be too challenging to take 1,000 from Strollin if that was the CDA's direction, because we could probably also fund that through the Stone Horse Green account. I would recommend still leaving 1,000 in there in case we decide to work with the Greater Madison Jazz Consortium to have events and music at locations other than Stone Horse Green. I think maybe the hardest ask would be to take 500 from the National Mustard Day budget, just because I think you'll recall Barry's pleas in the past.
Yeah, and I don't, because that's later in the summer. I don't want Mustard Day to feel aggrieved just because this request has come in first. Not that, you know, it's necessarily a given that it's all going to be there, but so look, I think it sounds like there's 2,500 that would be gettable at. Well, first of all, 1,500, I think I would be prepared to make a motion that we at least do that, and then let's see if we can do more. But with the group discussion, sounds like taking the 1,000 from Strollin, Middleton will not impact the total amount that hopefully they would be able to get from the two funds. So I would prefer not to, yeah, like we say, I think we've already scaled back support levels for National Mustard Day. So yeah, Andrea, sorry, go ahead.
I would agree that let's keep the Mustard Day as it is. And so even if you take this 1,500 and take 500 from Strolling and keep 1,500 there, that may be okay too. So, and then, you know, next year we can plan this in the budget. So I guess, yeah, either way. So whatever you think makes you guys happy is certainly 1,500 sounds, you know, not an issue. Well, of course, an issue, but we are willing to do it. So, and I don't know, Strolling is quite popular event, Abby, isn't it? You got lots of people coming to that event. So if you take 500, you could take very easily from there. Abby, would you think that would work?
Yes, you could take 500 from Strollin. You could, I think, I don't think it would harm the event to take up to 1,000 from Strollin.
Okay. So what do you think? So then, yeah, 1,500 is fine. So you want to take 500 or 1,000 from there? So
Well, maybe Andrea, back to you, because you had listed Strolling Middleton as one of the ones that you would support on your document. Let me go back to that again. I've got it up here. Initially, I thought, hey, this is not going to be too bad of an ask. There's 2,000 under already, but no, this 2,000 for Strolling Middleton is separate from what you're talking about here.
Correct. And so we're not necessarily asking, part of this money would help us be able to support Strolling in terms of the coordination that goes on, just to communicate out to the businesses, to try and pull together dining options, grab and go food options, help promote it out through the social channels, get the social media posts going, get it out on Nextdoor, like, to help be a distribution channel for the content. So, because some of the businesses in DMBA are also venues for Strolling and are also financial sponsors for Strolling. So, so Strolling, has sponsorships coming in from a variety of different places. The DMBA involvement wouldn't necessarily be a financial involvement in that project, but certainly one of support.
okay, so it looks like 1,500 slam dunk. Looks like we could go up to 2,000. And Gwen, and you have your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Thanks. Just to completely clarify, because I feel like I'm not following. Abby, could you just say specifically from the $7,500 budget, which ones could be covered through the Stonehorse Green budget?
Yes, so any event that is held entirely at Stonehorse Green could be funded, or like Strollin, where a portion of the event, or actually a majority of the event, is going to be held at Stonehorse Green. I think we could take a portion, whatever costs are being used to book bands or music at the green. I think that those could be charged to the Stonehorse Green grant and other donations that we've received. National Mustard Day does not take place at the Stonehorse Green. They have talked about ideas to try to expand it down there, but I don't think that that's going to happen this year because of the road work that's happening downtown. But that one really wouldn't be eligible to receive any funding out of the Stonehorse Green account.
Okay, so it was like a recommended 1,000 from Strolling to leave in the 1,000, and then is it 1,000 from summer and fall fun, or is it just 500?
I think you could shift that whole 1,000 to the Stonehorse Green without impacting anything happening in summer and fall fun. All of that could be funded through the Stonehorse Green donations.
Okay, well, then I would go off of what Kieran was saying before and up it to 2,000, and I would be comfortable with that.
Okay, thank you. Gwen, Katie, you have your hand up.
Thank you. So a couple questions. So if we go 2,000, we're leaving in the Mustard Days. There was another 500 that we aren't taking then.
You're only taking 500 from Strolling, then it's 1,000 from
Gotcha.
fun, 500
Gotcha.
from the green. Yeah.
Okay. And when you said something about Mustard Days not being at Stonehorse because of traffic construction or road construction, are any of these events that we're budgeting for, are any of them going to be possibly canceled because of any of the construction, in which case we have the money?
I don't think so. No, Matt Stroh-Snyder has coordinated our event schedule with Sean Ulsrud, who's our engineering tech that is managing the road project for the city. They will not have any active road work happening in the evenings when summer and fall fun is held, and also not on the weekends. So I think that that has been coordinated well enough that, you know, they may be impacted because it's going to be a little bit harder to get anywhere downtown this summer, but they're not going to be canceled.
And the adjacent road to Stonehorse Green will be done in phase 1, which is finished. It'll impact the trivia in May, except that trivia starts after the end of the construction workday.
Yep.
And then phase 2 and 3, Stonehorse Green isn't adjacent to phase 2 and 3. The construction does have a hard end date of July 28th in the contract. So, and muster day is August 5th. So there could still be some moving some of it through. We spent a lot of time talking about this today in our member meeting with Patty Levinson, just brainstorming and ideas. You know, you're taking a leap of faith that they're going to hit the hard and fast completion date of July 28th, but it sounds like there's significant financial incentive for them to make sure that that happens.
Good.
And I have a complete confidence in the Public Works Department. They, you know, they really do stick to their schedule.
Yeah.
So it looks to me that we have consensus for 2,000. So is somebody ready to make that motion? Karen or Katie or somebody?
Well, I think there's consensus for 2,000, but we had talked about up to 2,500, but unless there's anyone willing to go further on that. I mean, yeah, I want to make sure that under 2,000 still will be material that you can do what you need to do. So the 2,000 is part of a larger $19,000 budget. Is that right, Andrea?
Mm-hmm. If I wish I had a better understanding of what we're likely to get from the businesses. And again, this is the first time in the 12 years of the organization that we're even asking businesses to
Right.
contribute to the operating costs of the organization. So I really, and this is a hard time to be asking, as we're all still kind of rebuilding.
So here's what I suggest, because, you know, like obviously Strolin, they're not in this conversation. The organizers, Strolin Middleton, they might be looking at this saying, well, that's $2,000 there. We got something else. Abby, you may have talked to them already, but I think what I'd be willing to propose is then, okay, so let's make a motion to fund 2,000 of your 3,000 request, but not preclude you, Andrea, from coming back when you've got more transparency on what your businesses are going. It sounds like we could come up to an extra $500. We're probably not going to get all the way to the 3,000 though, with this year's budget.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is make a motion for $2,000 today. But there maybe can be a chance for a top up of another 500 if that is, you know, as you see how you progress with your business members. Is that too complicated for everyone? But I'm just trying to make sure that you get part of the way there. But I also feel like the conversation is not going all the way to taking 1,000 out of Strolin tonight. Carrie Oakes wants to weigh in with a comment. Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie, go ahead, please.
Thank you.
But yeah, it seemed like a good compromise. Carrie, go ahead, please.
Oh, you know, it just, I think it's good to have the budget up, Andrea, so you can sort of see where we're at in transparency. We're not like
Yeah, no, I get
we
it.
just don't have a lot of wiggle room.
Mhm.
But like one of the things is that since I've been on the committee, I think there comes to be an expectation, like we don't want to short Strolin Middleton, like they haven't come to us yet, but they've got 2,000 sketched in, right? Am I understanding that correctly? Like and so we have this tradition or history of supporting people, which is great. I worry a little bit about committing, are we creating an additional encumbrance that we then will be, you know, supporting in years going forward? And I don't have a solution to that. I just want to raise that as a question. And historically, as we've supported people, they're like, that's awesome. Will you do it again next year? Which is logical behavior. And I think that this makes a lot of sense because it affords economy of scale. It, you know, centralizes some things. Hopefully it offers the opportunity for coordination with Matt's position, and avoiding duplication and everything. I just am not, when the funding for the Stonehorse Green activities from the initial seed money comes in, then what do we do? hopefully we'll have other streams, but I'm just not sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we will have some options from TIF money. So even this year we are putting quite a bit from there. So, but I think, so you think that 2,000 is a good compromise. So I think, is that what you, even though the strolling, we put in there 2,000, so maybe we will see,
Yes, I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt. You sort of asked about that, and I think if the idea is that this is a position that working with the city's position of Matt could strategically help amplify all of what's going on in downtown Middleton. Like if that comes to pass, it seems to me like a pretty wise use of money, and I would support the 2,000.
Okay, so that's your second then? Okay, so the motion has been made, it has been seconded, and we will evaluate. I'm sure that Andrea will keep all the data, and we will evaluate at the end of the year that how and where the effectiveness of the money. So any other questions or comments? Otherwise, motion is to approve $2,000, the 3,000 requested. If there are no other questions or comments, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Andrea, well, congratulations. So
Thank
you
you.
did that.
Yeah,
2,000.
we appreciate the continued support. We
Okay.
really do. Thank
All
you.
right. So we are on to item number 2. So I guess this was pretty good discussion. So this is the further use of Edward Jones space in Senior Center building 7448 Hubbard Avenue. So where are we with that one, Abby?
So this is really short update. We still don't know exactly when Edward Jones is going to vacate the space, but we did take a few city departments through the space just to take a quick look. In particular, Kylie Scherer, our Parks and Rec director, was interested in looking at it to see if it might be feasible for them to expand the Hubbard Activity Center into that space and have a separate entrance from the senior center. And we don't have a definitive answer on that yet because she needs to get our building inspector to come through and take a look at whether there are walls that could come down to open up the space or not. She did indicate that if it wasn't feasible for that to happen, that it probably wouldn't be functional for them to use it. And then also our human resources director has been looking for a space to use for fitness area for city employees. And he went through the space as well. And I'm not sure that he thought it would necessarily work for him. So that's really all I have right now. I know Alderwoman Olson had some ideas as well about whether it could be like a co-working space or something along those lines. So anyway, we're still pulling together ideas, but we also don't know the date that Edward Jones is going to vacate at this point.
So, but if the city uses it, they're going to have to pay the CDA, right? I mean,
That would be up to the CDA to determine. I mean, we have been receiving lease revenue from that space. So, that would be a decision of the CDA.
we don't have too many sources of funds, right? So, well, how about please raise your hand if you have any questions, or it's good that we have the Edward Jones. You never know how long they will stay there, but yeah, so we do get some money there which we can use. So if rec departments wants it, or the human resources, I think they're going to have to pay for it. So I would imagine so. Any questions or comments from the members, commissioners? Well, Katie's somehow thinking of saying something.
You think so, huh? I'm just wondering if the city employees need a Pilates trainer. If they're gonna-
All
That would
right,
be
all
amazing.
right. Yes, and yes.
Yes, please.
I think that sounds cool. So I have to learn that too. I think it's about time that Well, I'm not in a bad shape, but you can always get in better shape. So, okay, well, if there are no many questions, then we are actually to the last item, whether to continue via Zoom or meet in person. I guess my opinion is well known, so I'm not going to even hear it. So nothing like meeting in person. So, but I'm willing to hear, I'm open, so.
All right, well, I'll offer a counterpoint then, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Look, I think I'll advocate for Zoom with the potential to host an in-person meeting once a quarter, or a periodic, maybe once every half year or once a quarter, something like that. I do think one of the challenges we have on city committees and in local office and so on as well is it tends to default to people who have time. So that's people who are retired, people who don't work. And I think we miss out on a lot of people who are busy, parents of young children and so on. Being able to do it on Zoom makes it a lot more possible for people like that. And I think so we can include there's at least the option to include a wider breadth of representation from our community. So I'll make an advocate for Zoom, not discounting the value of being in person, which is why I think it would be good to have periodic in-person meetings. But I just think being able to do it on Zoom makes it a whole lot easier for people to contribute to our civic life here in Middleton.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Well, Quinn, go ahead, and then I will say.
No, I was finishing there and just going to open up to someone else.
Oh, okay. Well, Quinn had his hand up, so go ahead, Quinn.
I would just echo what Kieran is saying. I really like that kind of compromise. The convenience of Zoom can't be denied, right? And the fact that it allows people that have busy schedules to be able to participate. But it would be nice to meet like maybe once quarterly. So I like that kind of compromise.
Kari.
Sorry, Chris was next.
Oh, okay, Chris and then Kari.
Thanks. Yeah, I think Kieran is spot on. And just in my personal experience too, I think Zoom can definitely be such a great tool to meet and do most of the heavy lifting and a lot of the communications that are needed, especially, I mean, I'm biased now. My travel has started up again. So for example, on a meeting like this, I wouldn't have been able to be there in person. So this offers me a great opportunity to join you for this meeting. However, that being said, I also fully understand there is a definite value to in-person meetings. And my vote would probably be once or twice a year to get the group together so that we can have that face-to-face exchange and sort of rekindle the relationships. But Zoom is, for the majority of these kind of meetings, I think would be my vote. Thank you.
Kari.
Ditto for the travel and for the young families and, people with mobility issues, everything else. But it would be great to see everybody in real life a couple, 3 times a year.
So, all right. Anybody else? Otherwise, I'm going to take my time too. So,
Mayor, I just
Yep.
wanted to pass along, Lori was not able to make it tonight, but she shared her thoughts and I told her I'd pass along. She prefers to go back to in person because she mentioned that she hasn't met the people in real life, and she is not sure when she sees people out and about if it's CDA members or not. And I've had that same experience where you're not quite sure if it's them because they look a little different than you expected. So she would like to meet everyone in person.
excellent. Chris, you have more to add or?
Sorry, my should be down. That's it. I don't have anything else.
Okay. Quinn, you have more or that was just your hand up? Quinn?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I've never met the group in person. So is the meeting space capable of hybrid meetings?
Yes.
Would that be an option?
Absolutely. So that's exactly what I was going to say, that we have spent a lot of money on hybrid technology. We have one of the conference room and the city council chambers. They are both hybrid technology possible. In fact, we are already doing that. The plan commission and the city council You know, they are both hybrid meeting, and a lot of the other, well, okay, I don't say use a lot, but Abby, would you say many of the committees are now meeting in person? So I give you the examples which I do know: the library, public safety, police commission, the parks rec and forestry. And I think I noticed that the public works has also started meeting in the hybrid meeting, and commission on aging. So there are, well, of course, the finance and the personal committee, they all meet in person. So the hybrid technology already makes it possible that the people can participate remotely as you are doing now. So some can be there in person and the others can be remotely. And even the city council has passed the ordinance which enables that too, which of course I didn't sign it. So, and so I think what I would like to see is that, and the others have voiced their concern too, that at the beginning of the year, at least we should have 1 or 2 meetings so that people get to know each other. So they have to elect their chair and vice chair. So in this case, chair is the mayor. So I guess, you know, it's slam dunk. So, but a lot of other committees, that really isn't the case. So unless you know it, you know, so it's hard to vote that who want the chair to be, and also not knowing it. So I think I like what Karen said, that at least meeting once a quarter, and I'm okay with that. But and having hybrid meeting, I'm all for it. So I think, for example, in Verona, they have set a limit that you could, you know, participate remotely, but in their cases, even for the council meetings, only 5 times a year. So we don't have any limit in Middleton here. So I think using the hybrid meeting and having the earlier meeting in person so that you get to know each other, and then meeting every quarter, you know, encourage everybody to come, that probably is workable. That's how I see it. Gwen, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I would just say if we could do every meeting as hybrid, and then everybody always has the option to go in person or meet virtually, depending on their schedule. I like that.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm good with that too, as long as you all actually show up sometimes, because we did have another committee that went hybrid, and then we just had the staff person sitting in the conference room and none of the committee members were showing up. So she finally asked them to go back to virtual, because she didn't want to just be the only one in the building in the evening. So anyway, I am fine setting it up as hybrid. I live really close to City Hall, so it's not a big deal to go back to City Hall in the evening at all. I don't mind doing that at all.
Katie and then Kari.
Yeah, that was going to be my comment, that we consider the city staff who have already put in a long day. And I'm not saying we shouldn't go hybrid. I'm just saying consider that it's, maybe I'm putting words in staff people's mouths. It's easier for them to be able to go home and see their kids for a minute before they have to go back into a meeting. And so my preference is the Zoom with periodic in person, just thinking about the staff who we are very lucky to have.
You're here.
Kari?
I think I am kind of siding with Katie for the reasons she said, and also, even though I think I probably live the closest to City Hall, I probably would mostly opt for hybrid meetings because my workday often isn't really over at the earlier meeting time. And I would like to say I would just trot down to City Hall, but I think it is not that realistic that I'll go super often, but I would really like to see all of you some of the time. I just want to be honest about my own, probably what I will do, and I will travel some of the time too.
Well, I will be honest as well. I would say you guys are, all of you are awesome. So this is my last CDA meeting. As you probably all know, I decided not to run for the third term, and there will be a lot of other fun things I'll be doing. So, which will be helping people again, people which are disadvantaged. So I think, anyway, you will see more details of it. So, and is there anyone else, Abby? They all are, well, Kathy is not coming back, right? So,
Yep,
So-
Kathy, unless she were to decide to apply as a citizen representative and get appointed, I don't believe she would be coming back to CDA.
Right.
So everybody else is, nobody's term is ending. So because I can assure you that I would not have any reappointing authority after 18th, and I don't think I will appoint anyone now. So Ken has his
Yes.
hands up, but I do want to say to every one of you, you are simply phenomenal. You make a difference for this city, and I love all of you, and and your talent and your time and your ideas, and you're not. One of the things which I like is you're not afraid to speak up. That's what I always like. I would like that on every committee, that was the case. So, and well, of course, we have an awesome staff. Abby, I have known her since 2008, and I worked together on various committees. And I told her last night, and I will tell her again, she's just awesome. Let's give her a big hand to Abby, right?
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes. So, Ken, you have something to say?
Yes. I believe my term is up as well, and I just had an email from Abby yesterday or so. I missed the email from Laurie earlier; it didn't come through for some reason. So as some of you may know, well, Abby, we've talked about it, but I'm building a startup company working on fusion energy, and it's exceptionally time-consuming and life-consuming for me right now. So while I definitely want to continue to contribute to my community, because actually I think, civic representation is something I feel really strongly about. The more people we get involved, the better. I'm always telling people you can't complain if you're not getting involved, right? About what's going on around you in your hometown. So, but I just don't have the bandwidth or time to contribute, and I don't want to be the person who is showing up, not having read the documents, not able to contribute, and so on as well. So I'm going to take a pause from my own civic engagement for probably the next 2 years or so, but definitely we'll be looking for some role to help out in the city of Middleton at that point, if I can get my head above water with this startup. So I'm not sure if this was to be my last, or if I still have one more meeting, because I hadn't really had a chance to talk to Laurie or to Abby about it yet. But regardless, I want to say it's been a real pleasure serving on this community, on this committee for the community. And I feel like we got some good stuff done, right? I really, really enjoyed with the summer fun, seeing people coming out and having a good time during COVID. I really love seeing that dog leg of Hubbard shut down and just allowing people to see what potential downtown Middleton has. So I'll keep banging that drum regardless. So thank you very much, Mayor. Thanks for the opportunity to serve on the commission.
Well, you are an awesome guy, and I like everyone. So let's get together, since you said you're working on it. So I'm willing. One of my things is I'm starting to help the high school students to start their own company. So I would like to. I know you will be busy with those other things. So that's the second thing which I'm doing. So besides some others which I'll be doing as well for my own thing. So this is for the community. So let's get together for tea or coffee and see that.
For sure.
By working with those you might need some help too. So high school would be a great thing to do. So
no, I'm all about it. The more we can engage with high school, even middle school students to get them excited about fusion energy, the more people we're going to have building and working in fusion plants in the 2030s. So it's a long timeline here, but we need to start training our staff now.
So I will send you an email. Of course, that's a different thing, but let's get together. Well, sure. Anybody else want to say everything? Otherwise, you guys are amazing, and I love you all a lot, and we will be doing more things together. So I guess, Abby, you have plenty of input now, right?
Yes, thank you very
So,
much.
well, need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Need a second. Okay, Katie is going to do it.
Did I hear somebody do it?
Oh, okay,
Otherwise, I will second.
okay. Motion has been made. Has been seconded. Any questions or comments or any intrigues to keep on going? Otherwise, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
I,
Anyone opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are, every one of you are amazing. Thank you.
I all, thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Mayor.
Bye.
Bye now.